7-8 Adam, this is Central BCC. Multiple SWAT.
Welcome back. I'm Ren from Blued Gaming, and today I'm taking a look at SWAT 4. Now, the reason why I went back and played a game that's 12 years old is because there's some games coming out, specifically Ready or Not, that are trying to go back to that kind of style of tactical SWAT gameplay, and SWAT 4, I've heard from many people, is the best at doing the tactical police combat, or not combat per se, but the tactical going through different places, clearing out different rooms, using a bunch of different gadgets, and getting the civilians out, going and arresting all the bad guys. And SWAT 4, I've heard from the vast majority of people I've talked to, is the best in that genre. And because that genre seems to be making somewhat of a comeback, well, I wanted to go back and check the supposed king of it. So let's get right into this review, starting with the graphics. And as you can see, for a game that came out in 2005, this doesn't look terrible. This looks pretty decent for that. The main problem in the graphics is widescreen is not available in this game. It will, if you're running a Windows machine, it will change your monitor's resolution to fit it without any black bars. But what you're seeing right now in the in this video does have black bars. I can't remove those, but it will change your monitor to have it not have any black bars. I know that you can mess around in the INI files to change around different things and try to force it into a widescreen resolution and potentially even windowed mode, but that doesn't work for everybody, and it didn't work for me. But thankfully the game does run most of the time without any real hitches. I've had it blue screen twice, and I've had it crash a couple times, but I'm just going to throw that up to it being a pretty old game. And next we have sound. Now, sound is exactly what you would expect it to be. The guns sound like actual guns. The taser sounds like a taser. The pepperball gun sounds like how a pepperball gun sounds. Everything is really decent. The only thing that I really have a problem in the sound department is whenever you encounter an enemy and you put the zip tie handcuffs on them, you have to call in to your tactical on-site command, or shortened to TOC, and you have to radio into TOC that you have either a suspect ready to extract, or a civilian ready to extract, or an officer down, or a suspect being shot. You have to call all that in, and if you do that too quickly to one another, it will actually cut off TOC, like radioing back to you, and cut straight to that sound clip playing over again. And it's the same sound clip pretty much every single time. And if you have like 3 people that you have to radio in right next to each other, you'll hear it restart 3 times, and that can get a little bit annoying. But overall, all the sound work is great. The voices are all really great. The music is really just as a background kind of thing. It doesn't play often in missions because you do have to be able to hear if there's like people behind the door that you're getting ready to bust into, and just different things like that. So the music doesn't like play an overly huge part in the natural game, but it does play in the menus and everything, and it fits for what it does. And now we can move on to story. Now, this game doesn't have like an overarching story. It's just you are the new leader of a SWAT unit, and in each mission you get called out to a location, and you have to go arrest or kill all of the bad guys. And I'll get to that here in a minute, but each individual mission is not connected to another mission. It is just standalone operations that you have to do, and they ramp up as the story goes on. or as the campaign goes on. It starts out small with things like a diner being held up, or a dad holding his family hostage, and then it ramps up into things like underground casinos, diamond heists, different things like that. I don't want to spoil some of the later ones for you, but it does ramp up over time, and that means that the levels themselves get more expansive, and there's more enemies, they get better equipment, and there's 13 missions overall to go through in single player. And the thing that keeps you from just running through all of them doing really badly is each mission is scored on a 100 point basis. 100 is a perfect score, 0 is the worst that you can do. I'll get to some problems in the scoring in a little bit, but depending on the difficulty, you have to have more points. Like the lowest difficulty, it doesn't matter if you get 1 point, you'll still pass. Then it goes up to 25 points, then 50, then 75, and then 100. And I believe the enemies get more difficult as you go up in difficulty as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much the entirety of the story. So let's get on to the actual gameplay, and I'll start out by going over that point system that I was just talking about. Now, some actions that you do, like arresting people and calling everybody into the tactical on-site command, those things will give you points, and then other things that you do, like forgetting to radio in somebody, or killing somebody when you didn't need to kill somebody, those things subtract points. Now, the point system overall works pretty well. There's just one big downside, and that is the playstyle that it forces you into. And what I mean by that is I went through the same mission twice. The first time with the non-lethal options being the beanbag shotgun and the pepperball gun, and I went through, cleared everything, got no deductions in points, and got 100, which is the perfect score. I then went through it again, but I changed out everybody's guns from the non-lethal options to lethal options. I went through it again, pretty much doing the same thing, no deductions, got all points possible, meaning I called in everybody, I arrested everybody, only killed a few people, got 71 points with no deductions. And so it forces you into using only a small number of the available options in your loadout if you want to get these max points possible. So that kind of limits what you're able to do. Like I think there's around 8 or so main primary weapons. Only 2 of them are non-lethal. Out of the 4 or 5 handguns, only the taser is non-lethal. All of the other equipment that you can use doesn't subdue an enemy, so that's pretty much the only things. But it forces you to use just those 3 different weapons instead of the 15 that they have available, or it's around 15. Now let's go a bit more into how the average mission will go. It starts off with the briefing, where someone at main command, or the main police headquarters, will call up the SWAT commander that's above you and kind of detail the situation. Then your SWAT commander will tell you kind of what's going on and kind of what you should expect inside the place that you're going to. Then you go through your load up trying to get everything that you want, things like flashbangs or gas, which makes people kind of cough and stuff, or these bang grenades that shoot a bunch of little small pellets everywhere. Then you get your guns, which are normally going to be the non-lethal options if you're going for a lot of points. And then you are finally dropped into the mission at normally one of 2 entry points that you get to choose. Then you go and do like you're seeing in the background. I go through go to a door, use the extensive team menu. Like, there's a lot of options in the team menu. And this team menu could be anything from just telling your team to stack up on a door, to using a mirror underneath it to see what's inside, to busting it open and throwing in like flashbang or something. Just a very extensive team menu, and you go through each room very slowly. Your character doesn't move very fast, as you can see. You just go through and you arrest all the suspects, and you essentially zip tie, handcuff everybody, because that's just what you do. Then you call in to tactical on-site command to tell that everybody's there, and then you finish off the mission and go on to the next one. And that's essentially what you do 13 times, and that is the entirety of the game, is you go through 13 different places, do all that stuff, and get the highest score possible. And really, the scoring system is where the replay value comes in, because everybody that's placed in a map is randomly placed. So if you play through it one time and then go and replay it another time, everybody's going to be in a different place, and that actually adds to the replay value. But it kind of makes getting a high score more difficult, because you don't know what to expect around every single door, and you can't have like a perfect game plan going into it every single time, which I kind of like. But then once you keep going through it, you just try to get a high score in every single mission, and then once you do that, you're kind of finished. So now let's go into the fun factor and my final thoughts on the game. Now, overall, if I played games like this more often, or if games like this were made more often, then this might not be the pinnacle of tactical FPS like it is right now. But because of how few games are actually tactical FPS team-based games like this, this is still the pinnacle of this kind of genre. And playing through it, it really, I see why it is such a great game, and I would still consider it to be a really great game. You can find it on GOG for $10, I believe, and then it goes on to sale for $5. And personally, for that price point, this is a must-get game. The only downside to this game is that on some of the newer systems and newer PCs and some configurations of PCs, you will have a harder time getting this game to work just because of age, and as time goes on, that will be harder and harder to do. There's just a myriad of different problems that these old games can have, and that's kind of the reason why I stray away from most old games. But yeah, after working around, it took me about an hour or so to get this game to work, but I'm glad that I got it to work, because this is pretty much the best tactical FPS that I have ever played, and I highly recommend that anybody looking at it definitely goes and picks it up if they can find it, or if they go to GOG.com. So yeah, that's going to be it for my review of SWAT 4. My next video is probably going to be another review. I'm still trying to get through Black Desert Online. I'm trying to get to level 56 and get the Awakening weapon, which takes a little bit of time. So next video is probably going to be another review. So that's going to be it for this. Remember, as always, I'm Ryan from Bluewood Gaming. I'll see you guys in the next one.